Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Bite Size Podcast. I'm your host Clayton at ClaytonsAFC on Twitter, and we're here to finally start a new series that we've been talking about for a while. And as you can see, I'm not joined by Nemo, I'm joined by my good friend Finn at FinnAFC. How you doing, mate?
All good yourself?
All good, all good. Start of a new year, so I feel like Arsenal Twitter's in meltdown. So let's go down the nostalgia route. Let's talk about some of the good old days. Well, I say good old days. It wasn't that long ago, but yeah, some nicer days out. I don't actually think Arsenal is in as much of a meltdown as everyone is making out at the minute. But yeah, it's a new
No.
series. Like I said, it's called the Arsenal
Well, I'd
Archives.
hope not anyway.
No, exactly. But yeah, so new series we're starting, the Arsenal Archives. On this first episode, we're going to be talking about the 2017 FA Cup final, where we, of course, beat Chelsea. Finn was there, I was there, but I have a very bad memory of it because I was incredibly intoxicated. So we'll be talking through, we'll live through Finn's experience for this one, and then yeah, the idea is to keep doing this with other Arsenal fans as we keep going forward. We've got a couple of lined up. One is going to be talking to us about his day at White Hart Lane in 2004 when we famously won the league. Got another guy coming on to do the whole FA Cup final in 2014, and then we've got Uncle Mike, who's the regular listener. He's going to be doing the Cup Winners' Cup semi-final, Sampdoria '95, which is when I was born. So yeah, got some good things lined up, but. Without further ado, yeah, let's crack on with the 2017 Cup final. So it's obviously Chelsea. Can you remember a bit like in terms of context around the season? Because obviously we finished outside the top four, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say about obviously this final would be that the semi-final itself was a big upset. Like playing City, you
yeah,
know, they just kind of really started to get into form with Pep Guardiola coming in, and we weren't very confident going into that game. And
uh,
it was kind of a crazy game in the end where Monreal came down late on to equalise, took us to extra time. Sanchez pinball in the box. And I think we were just so kind of excited after winning that game that even though Chelsea had such an amazing season, we were going into the game quietly confident because we just thought, we've beaten City already. Why not? Like let's take Chelsea on. I know
yeah.
they've gone crazy that season and they won the league by a decent margin and no one could really deal with them. But yeah, we didn't feel too bad, I don't think, going into the game.
No, and this is the thing. I'm glad like you're here to talk through it because I literally cannot remember any like context on how I was feeling going into it. I just remember it being like, oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
Wembley, it's FA Cup final, it's a big day out sort of thing. But in terms of context around everything, I literally cannot remember it. But yeah, obviously it was our record at the time, 13th FA Cup. We obviously went
Yeah.
on to win a 14th a couple of years later, but yeah, it's interesting you saying going into the game you were fairly confident. So what was your day like? What was your Wembley ritual that day?
Well, I can remember all my mates that we go with, we'd all, someone had organised a pub. It's in an Indian restaurant called More Spice, very near the stadium.
Okay.
And it was all ticketed, but got down there and yeah, all the lads were there. And it was a great atmosphere, everyone we know just kind of having a few drinks. Like I think
Yeah.
everyone
It was
was
a sunny day
confident.
if I remember correctly as well.
Oh, it was very warm. It was
Yeah.
a very warm day, and this place had a massive basement that we were kind of all crammed into, and it was a little bit it was a little bit
Sweat
sweaty
box.
down there. Yeah, but I think it was kind of a nice mix, as I say, where people were confident that we could have a go at them, but we also weren't favourites.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of took a bit of the pressure off, and people were just kind of enjoying themselves before the game and just making the best of the day, knowing that we had a chance of winning, but I don't think anyone was too felt the pressure because they thought we were definitely going to win.
Well, is that the year Chelsea won the league as well? I'm sure it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they came to they came to the Emirates in, I think it was about September or October, and we were beating them really well at half time. And I remember ringing my Chelsea mates and saying like, "Oh my god, like what you're doing with Conte, like this is just dreadful. Like it's one of the worst performances I've seen here for a long time. And I remember vividly that he changed to the back five at half time of that game.
And then
obviously that was the system that ended up winning in the league. So in a way, losing at the Emirates won the league.
Yeah. This is the thing with my memory. Like I've got the memory of a goldfish, but when you say stuff like that, it kind of triggers it to remember things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went to the curry house. You're in the sweat box, and then how many beers deep are you at this point?
Before the game, I'd say at least probably 8 or 9. Just lubricate the wheels, you know. And then the place we were was so close to Wembley Way. We were kind of spilling in and out onto Wembley Way, and I remember vividly seeing Chelsea fans walk past and then chanting about how they'd already won the double.
Oh bloody hell!
And I thought that's always a risky one.
Yeah,
that's always a risky one. Like you don't want to go in saying, you know, you've already won the double, because that will come back and bite you.
That will come to backfire massively. Yeah. And so for anyone that's not actually been like privileged enough to be at Wembley or for a cup final, what would you say is, like, I guess fundamentally the main difference in the atmosphere as you're kind of coming out of Wembley Park compared to when you go to Arsenal, if you're coming out of Arsenal, Highbury and Islington, Holloway Road?
Well, I'd say obviously you're at a game where half the fans in the ground support the other team, so you're coming out onto Wembley Way and it's very mixed. But it is usually before the game, it is usually like a fun atmosphere where it's mixed.
Yeah.
Like there's a bit of, like, you know, banter or whatever, but it's nothing too, you know, aggressive or anything like that. And it's just everyone's excited to be there. You know, it's a big occasion. Even when you've been to Wembley a few times, to go for a cup final, it's still a massive occasion. You do get the butterflies in the stomach a little bit when you walk up Wembley Way and stuff.
100%. For me, it's when you come out of the station and you literally just see
everyone's
in
a good mood.
It never gets old.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like I think, you know, and you might go for England games or whatever, and it's still kind of fun. But I think when you know that your club's got to the Wembley final, it means so much more.
Yeah,
100%. It just kind of hits different.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, I think we spoke about this like a little bit off air before. Like that period from obviously winning the FA Cup in 2014 through to this one against Chelsea. Like we had so many Wembley trips through, like you said earlier, semi-finals, the final, Community Shields, and like I think that's why my memory of this is poor, because I think it's just kind of blurred. Like I genuinely can't remember who I went with for this one. Like kind of took it for granted, but yeah, for the people that like I said, like you don't really get to witness this every year. Like we were blessed during that period. We were so fortunate to go so often, and each day out was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like, and I think this was that's why I was kind of keen to do this one, because this was kind of the culmination of that period where we were playing at Wembley a lot, and we had obviously the massive emotion of the whole cup final. We hadn't won a trophy in so long. And like, even for me, especially, like that for me was like the first trophy we'd won since I'd left school, or I'd stopped being like a little kid even. So that was just such a mad day. And then going to beating Villa in 2015 and just absolutely smashing them on the day. And it just kind of felt a bit like a dream, especially when Sanchez scored that, you know, worldie from outside the box. And then, you know, we kind of had a year off in 2016. And then this was kind of just felt like the culmination of a period where we just really dominated at Wembley.
Yeah. And am I right in thinking, was this the like, you're gonna have to guide me here, like I said, my memory's awful. Was this the famous Rob Holding performance against
the game Rob Holding put the shackles on Diego Costa?
That's the one.
Yeah,
effectively.
Yeah,
because that's the bit. Like we obviously went for a back three in this one, right? And I think Mertesacker, from memory, he didn't really play too much before this game, and then I think he was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was a massive shock to us all how good, especially I'd say, Mertesacker played. I mean, Rob Holding at the time hadn't been at Arsenal for too long, so we knew we didn't really know whether or not he was going to play well in this
Yeah.
sort of game because he hadn't seen it before. But I think Mertesacker was a big surprise how well he played in this game. And them two together, again, maybe it worked because of the way Diego Costa plays. I'm not sure. But, happy days for us. They really did play well that day.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. Like, I distinctly remember like belting out the Better Than Cannavaro song for Rob Holding, and Mertesacker just surprising the life out of me. Like he stepped in and he looked like he looked like he'd never been away, to be honest.
No.
Yeah. So so you're walking down Wembley Way, so you're feeling confident and stuff. And at this point, are you talking to your mates about like score predictions, or are you just like get in, head down? What's going through your head as you're walking up those stairs?
I think you may talk to one or two mates about a score prediction, or maybe like a kind of slight analysis of the team lineup. But for me, it's more normally we'll be talking about any old random stuff on the walk up. Like, we don't, you've had a few beers, you've got into conversations with lads at the pub.
You're just chatting absolute shit.
You're just chatting about anything really. Like, you may have one or two mates that you do kind of talk about the lineup with and stuff, but I wouldn't say you don't really go too much deep into it. You're not even really thinking about it at the time. You just kind of want the game to get started, and then you'll see what happens.
Yeah, but like, I don't know if you can remember this, but like, I've got the lineup here, and obviously we just touched on like Mertesacker being quite a big surprise. But for anyone listening on the podcast that can't remember, the lineup was actually Ospina was in goal, back three was Holding, Mertesacker, Monreal, wing backs Chamberlain, Gibbs, obviously Ramsey, Xhaka in midfield, and then Özil and Sanchez. And it was like, looking back in hindsight, it was a fairly strong bench of Cech, Bellerin, Coquelin, Giroud, Welbeck, Walcott, Gabriel Paulista, that is. Like, our squad was stronger than I remember, to be honest, looking at that.
Yeah. I think I don't think it was a terrible squad that year or anything. It's just obviously we were playing the team that had so comfortably won the league title that year, and we were kind of nowhere near that. We were kind of led to believe it was probably a bit weaker than it actually was.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, if you consider that we came second the season before. So, I mean, the squad wasn't dreadful. I mean, it was good enough to come second the year before. Granted, it was the Leicester season and something strange happened, I think. But
yeah, no, you're right. It was a much better team than I think I'd give them credit for looking back on. But, so we touched on it. So you're walking up, you're in the ground, and what do you do when you get in at Wembley? Because I was similar to you. I was like 7. I wasn't quite 8, 9. I think I was like 4 or 5 pints down, and I go straight to the bar in Wembley, get the sing-song. One of my favourite things about cup final days at Wembley is like, and I know you're not a shirter, but I quite like and like. Usually neither am I, to be fair, but the one thing I do like seeing is like the sea of red walking, especially on a sunny day. Like, I do find that quite cool, seeing that, and like you've got a few Arsenal, well, not a few, thousands of Arsenal fans singing up Wembley Way. My thing was, I remember now it's coming back to me, getting inside, just going straight to the bar and just rings of Arsenal songs. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of people I know, like, following on from that there are people that don't usually wear club apparel or club shirts or whatever in general that do like try and put something on for the cup final. So that is quite a nice thing, I guess. Like, almost everyone come together, and I even put something red on. Like, it won't be a club shirt, but I'll put something red on at least. Like, I think it does make a nice kind of atmosphere for everyone.
Yeah, that's what my my dad was like he kind of raised me to always be like, nah. Ironically, I'm sat here in an Arsenal jumper, but he was like, nah, club merch, like, nah, just keep it for cup final days. And so that's kind of I'm the same. Like, I don't usually wear colours on like home or away games, but cup final days always like, nah, I'm representing my club, sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's quite nice. Like, I like the kind of feeling behind that.
Yeah. But you're getting in the ground now, so you're merry, and then kickoff happens. And we go 1-0 up really fucking early. Can you remember the limbs? Or?
Yeah, so I was actually in the upper tier. I was about halfway across. I was near the halfway line in the upper tier. And I remember Sanchez scoring early, but there was a bit of controversy about the goal, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those limbs that's kind of stop start. Like you kind of go for a few seconds, then you stop, and you go again, and like people start landing on you, and like it's just all a bit. You don't really know what's happened for 2 or 3 minutes.
Controversy around like was it he supposedly handballed it or something?
Yeah, it was hard to tell in the ground, but in the ground I seem to remember that I thought he might have been offside.
Okay.
But I don't know what came out of it later. Like if you saw it on the TV, what happened. I mean, you never really know anyway. That's the main problem. But
yeah, I just remember it being a shock, like how early in the game. I can't remember what specific minute it was, but I just remember it was so
definitely very early. Yeah, it must have been within the first 5 or 6 minutes, really.
Yeah, I think it was as well. And then that just set the tone. And like, do you remember what the kind of atmosphere was like pre the goal and then post goal? Or
well, the atmosphere definitely, went up a notch after the goal. I've kind of feel like it's a bit strange at the moment. I keep complaining about the fact that the atmosphere is poor because we're nervous, where we've been going for the league titles and stuff recently or whatever else. But before the start of last season, if you scored a goal and you were nervous, it seemed to improve the atmosphere a lot, which is definitely what happened at Wembley in 2017.
Yeah.
The atmosphere started okay, but then I think the fact that it shut the Chelsea fans up so effectively.
Well, that's not difficult to do anyway, to be honest.
No, it's not. No, not particularly. But
their one song wonder.
It gave
Chelsea,
everyone the motivation, I guess, to. Yeah, it was. I mean, all that goal did. I'll be frank, is just make me incredibly nervous, and it just made the game really hard to watch. I remember just being sat on my seat, like kind of just with my head in my hands, like, oh, this is going to be a horrible, next hour and a half.
Can you remember when about they equalised?
Oh, it was definitely 1-0 at half time.
Right.
It was 1-0 at half time because I was. That's when my nerves peaked. Like I didn't want to be in the ground anymore.
Can I also ask, because in the 2015 FA Cup final, right, I was so drunk. I actually missed Walcott's goal because I'd broken the sill, so I'd gone to the toilet, missed his goal.
Right.
You'd had a lot to drink. Did you make it through to half time without needing to go?
I think I might have gone down 2 or 3 minutes early.
Right.
But nothing major.
And did you make it out for the second half, or because I know you had a course trip?
Well, I actually didn't really make it back to my seat for the rest of the game, to be perfectly honest. I was so nervous at half time. I was in the concourse, and we 1-0 up, and it's against Chelsea, and a lot of my mates support Chelsea and stuff, and it's always a very nerve-wracking game for me. And I must have been having what was you might almost describe as a panic attack at half time, where I was going, shit. I need to either leave the ground or, just kind of stay in the concourse. I can't handle going back in the ground. So me and my mate Omar, we both kind of felt the same. We just started walking up and down the concourse all half to try and calm ourselves down.
Is it literally just two of you? Like I can't imagine there were many people in the concourse.
There wasn't many, people are so lucky to get a cup final ticket. I don't want to be
Oh no, it's not.
I'm grateful or anything, but I just could not physically go back into the seat and watch it. So me and him just walked up and down, up and down, up and down. And I mean, the only time we went in was when we'd heard something massive happen. So I think we must have ran in when Victor Moses got sent off.
Yeah.
And we ran in to see the limbs for the winning goal, but that was about it. Like,
you weren't physically stood or sat in your seat?
No. Like me and Omar had to run in and join in.
I've just got this image of like you and your friend just sprinting in, just jumping on people on the floor.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, just it was absolute, it was absolute bedlam when we got in there. But luckily we kind of saw the goal on the big screen, and it was all right. We kind of got the gist of what happened. But
so from my perspective, I was quite lucky. I had a really good seat for this. I'll put it on the screen like this. Unfortunately, this is the only photo I could find on my phone. But it's the bottom right one on the screen. So that's where I was, like literally behind the goal.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked those banners that we had out as well.
That's very nice. Yeah, I think you're sitting almost exactly where I sat for the semi-final.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, very nice seat.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up is I just like I said, I can't remember the game in too much detail, but the one thing I remember so clearly is seeing Giroud get the ball, and like as he dinked it, and I
Yeah.
could just sit. I was like, this is a goal. I could literally see it, like, and I was like almost jumping, and then obviously
Yeah.
Ramsey, like he was. That was it. That season, he just went off on one, or was it the year before? He just had like a 2-year period where he was absolutely
Yeah.
unbelievable for us.
Yeah, I think that was around the whole cup final, right? Like that was
It
kind of
was
like the
actually,
culmination of his
yeah,
massive goal scoring season when he scored that winner against Hull.
yeah.
Which
You're right.
I mean,
Actually,
that was just
poetic. Yeah. But yeah, I just remember seeing that, like the ball was dinked, like floating, and Ramsey got his head on the end of it, and it's just
yeah,
unbelievable. And
best feeling in the world.
yeah,
Even when you're running in from the concourse.
I should have started with this at the start, but for people that don't know you, you literally
Yeah.
go home and away. Like I think you missed one game last season, was it?
Yeah, 1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah. So were you at all of the cup finals between 2014 and this one in 17 then?
Yeah, I didn't
So
miss a semi or final or a community
and
shield.
all the community shields. So how did this one, because you were quite keen to talk about this game in
Yeah.
particular, right? So how did this compare to the other experiences for you?
I think this was obviously great, beating Chelsea, beating a team that was becoming the champions of the league that season, I think.
Yeah.
And it was much more of a shock than the other two, because obviously the other two, great days out, and especially the 2014 final when we finally broke our trophy drought, we were playing Hull.
Yeah.
I don't want to cheapen like it was still a great day and stuff, but like it wasn't really a surprise that we won. I mean, it was a surprise Hull did as well as they did, really.
Yeah.
And same in 2015 with Villa, like we just rolled them. Like it was I've never seen a more one-sided cup final, really.
No,
So
that was surreal. I did not expect that at all.
well, I was kind of like, well, they've beaten Liverpool in the semi-final. They deserve to be there and stuff. And I thought, it won't be the easiest game. Look at Hull last year, and yeah, we just absolutely steamrolled them. Like it was just,
Yeah.
it was easy, really. Like I don't want to cheapen getting to the cup final or anything, but it really was.
Yeah.
So this for me was just like, as I said before, it was like a culmination of that period where we were getting to Wembley so often, and to beat Chelsea, a great team at the time, a rival team, a team that I know a lot of people that support, and we have a lot of back and forth and stuff. It was just, yeah, you can't really beat it in terms of a domestic. Like, obviously, it would only be beating them lot up the road, but they don't really get to many cup finals. So
Yeah, literally. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like even with like my memory and stuff, I feel like it's probably been downplayed. Like we took away the chance for them to win the double as well. Like,
yeah, definitely.
fair enough, they won the league, but it would have been a huge thing for them to go and say they've done the double.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like I think it might have been downplayed just by virtue of the fact, as I say, we were doing so well at Wembley at the time that it just kind of felt like almost standard procedure during that period of time that we would go and win the FA Cup. And we were almost like, people were almost trying to take the piss out of us for just winning the FA Cup, like it was some sort of small achievement where
any other club goes and wins it, and this
oh yeah, exactly,
ever.
Exactly.
I've always found that's the case with us. Like whatever, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
without a doubt. Yeah.
But so then, obviously we Ramsey gets the winner. You come flying in with your mate Omar. And what did your post-match celebrations consist of for this game?
Well, so I kind of went back into the seat for 10-15 minutes, watched them lift the trophy, all the rest of it. Went back to that same pub we were in before, and they were playing like hot stuff on the on the tannoy, and like all the old FA Cup final songs and stuff. So yeah, got a fair few drinks in and just enjoyed with everyone. It was like a party atmosphere. Nice. You can't really beat it. And
no,
after, I mean, one thing I love about when we win the FA Cup is being able to leave Wembley and go back over Arsenal later on. And there's always so many people over there that haven't even been to the game, but they've been having like a massive party, like
it's just like a carnival,
on Holloway Road or Blackstock Road or on Upper Street or whatever. And it's so good to see, because you come back into that environment. It's like, wow, like we were having our party in one place, but there was a completely different party going on over here, and it was just as good, really.
Yeah.
So it's always great to see.
I find exactly the same, because it's like you kind of go from Wembley Park to King's Cross, and like, not that the atmosphere dies a little bit, but like it slows down a bit. And then
Yeah, when you're on the train and stuff, like,
exactly,
I completely
and,
agree with that.
and then you go King's Cross to Finsbury, it's like bang, it's picked up again. It's almost like you just
Yeah.
get a second wind and you go again. Like I love it as well.
No,
Yeah, hopefully we're
100%. Yeah, it's great. Like, just, go over there, and as I say, it's even people that didn't really have the chance to go to the match and stuff, so they're really keen to like make sure they kind of celebrate as much as possible and get the most out of their day, which I think is great. And it's great for us to come
100%.
back into that environment.
Yeah. What would you say was, because it sounds like you've had a few moments that day that were pretty highlights. So what would you say was the highlight of that day then? Like, outside of the obvious in winning it, like, is there one moment of the day that sticks in your head
I
quite clearly?
would say probably, like, I would say just getting back into the pub after, and just, seeing all your mates, because you're not next to everyone in the ground that you go with and stuff. You've been next to a few, but just seeing all your mates and like having an embrace and like just fucking screaming for 5 minutes and stuff, it's just always the best. Like, you can't really beat that moment, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Mine is again, like, from the limited memory bank I've got of the game, it's just seeing that ball hit the back of the net for Ramsey's goal, like, and then just being flattened. It's
it's absolute bedlam. And the thing is, like, running back, because I was in the upper tier. When you run back into the upper tier, and you're just looking at the lower stairs, just going absolutely crazy, and it's like, oh my god, like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, carnage. One question I got, it was obviously at that time our fan base was quite divided on Wenger, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you have any strong opinions on, like, obviously the contract and any of that stuff?
I was.
If you want to plead the fifth, that's fine. You don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
People that have known me for a while will know that I was quite strongly wanted Wenger to leave at that particular period, and I never liked to get into anything too sort of nasty or aggressive, like some people did. Like, there'd often be physical punch ups at away games and stuff between people that were being very rude about Wenger, and they really wanted to go, and I wanted him to leave probably from at least when we beat Hull in the FA Cup final. I thought, okay, that's a natural,
like, go out on a high
conclusion, sort of go out on a high, exactly. Yeah, and I think there was definitely a feeling at the time with some people that really wanted him to go. I didn't necessarily buy into this, but that they thought that the FA Cup victories were papering over the cracks and they were saving his job.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I kind of, I wanted him to leave, but I was never. I always,
you were never toxic.
I always loved the man for what he'd done, and I never kind of went completely out of my way to be like, he has to go today or tomorrow or whatever. I was like, I just feel like we're doing okay, but we could do a lot more with someone else.
Yeah, I think I was of a similar mindset, to be honest, at the time. But yeah, it was just such a horrible period in terms of, like, our fan base being so disconnected and stuff. And that's why I think it was quite nice to have these, like, days out where I think everyone just forgot about their agendas, and it's just like you came together to support one club, which is what it should be about.
Yeah, I think when you get to the final, that does tend to happen. Although at the same time, I wouldn't have wanted to see what would have happened if we would have lost one of those finals.
No, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think I can picture it would have been World War III.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final couple questions from me before we wrap this one up. So
yeah, go ahead.
Again, like, I think a lot of the audience here would probably have never had the chance to either physically go to a football game at the Arsenal, like Highbury, the Emirates, and then possibly a cup final. How would you compare the two stadiums in terms of the Emirates, Wembley? Like, when you walk out, you see the pitch for the first time. Like, one crystal clear memory I've got was walking out at the Emirates for Bergkamp's testimonial, like the first game there. And I remember I was like 8 years old maybe, and I've still got that crystal clear in my head, like walking out, seeing the pitch, and like that wow moment. Like, do you have that at Wembley, or is it still the Emirates as home for you?
Yeah, I think, like, I would say Wembley, especially if you grew up in England and you grew up watching the FA Cup finals and watching the national team at Wembley, obviously it's going to resonate to a certain extent, and it's going to be a big moment the first time you go there. I think the first time I actually went was for the 2014 semi-final against Wigan.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I was right in the gods. I was, top row of the upper tier, so I didn't really get the moment where you go out and you smell the pitch and you like get the whole sensory overloads, But yeah, I think obviously if you're an Arsenal fan, like I've been going to the Emirates since it opened, and it does kind of become a routine. I do remember when we first moved there, and I was kind of like, okay, this is good, and I'm excited, but at the same time, I loved Highbury, and I kind of miss Highbury a little bit. But I think if you can go for the first time, and you can go kind of in the lower tier, and you can come out and you get that, you smell the pitch, you smell the grass, like even outside, like you smell like the burgers and the
programs as well. Even the programs have a fucking smell. Like
I think people don't understand like the sensory overload you get when you actually go to the football, and every smell like that for me has like a certain memory attached.
Yeah,
which is why I love going so much in a way.
Same. Yeah, it's the smell. Yeah, it's the two things: the programs and the burger onions. Like,
yeah,
I just think football.
I mean, even to be honest, even the horse shit, like it's not a nice smell,
It's so true.
Yeah, like it sets something off anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. Is there anything else you want to share from your day out that day that you feel like we may not have covered?
Just trying to think. No, I think we've hit pretty much everything. Like, I mean, it was just a great culmination of a period that we just really did feel like we were invincible at Wembley. I know, and it was just kind of a nice feeling because, as I say, like the league campaign that season was nothing to write home about. We were kind of struggling a little bit in the league a lot of the time. Away days had got very toxic, as you said, with the Wenger stuff and the fact that those teams weren't really winning away from home that often. And it was kind of making it, I love going away from home with Arsenal. Like I love it. But when you're losing, 3, 4, 5 away games in a row, and you're traveling, you're spending money, people are getting on each other's backs, like you do need something to kind of alleviate that pressure. And I think those FA Cup finals really did help with that.
Yeah, 100%. No, well said. No, this was absolutely brilliant. Thanks a lot for jumping on and sharing.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
No, it's been I think I prefer this to the weekly doing the review of a game and it's literally talking about like some of your favorite days out following the Arsenal, right? So
yeah, for sure. Like as I said to you before, like I've got such a better memory for stuff that's happened around games than I do for actual games, like scores or who scored when or whatever. Like, so for me, it's perfect. Like I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice one. We'll get you on again to do another one. I know, like when we were first talking about doing this, you listed off a few that were like, "Wow, yeah, that'd be cool."
Oh yeah, I've got quite a few in the bank. So,
would you like to tease what you'd like to do next?
Well, I've got a couple. I think.
Go on. If I wouldn't mind and say like top 3 away days that come to mind that you've done for Arsenal.
I would say probably Valencia, where we got to the Europa League final and we had a great time, but there was context behind that as well. Obviously, with what was going on in the Champions League, I think it'd be quite a good. It was quite an eventful couple of days. It'd be good to talk about. Sure. And I think when we won at Tottenham in the League Cup, that was a great day that I wouldn't mind talking about as well. Nice. And even when we beat them last year, I think
I was going to ask. That must have been unreal. Yeah,
it was such a great moment. I'd love to relive that. I know it didn't work out in the end with the league and stuff, but
we didn't know it wouldn't, right?
Exactly. You got to take these games as they are at the time. And if you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, 100%. No, that sounds great. No, honestly, mate, thanks a lot for jumping on.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely love that. And we'll see what the feedback is. But I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Awesome. And yeah, well, that's a wrap on that one. So yeah, everyone, if you enjoyed that, if you're watching back, drop this stream a like. And you're private on Twitter, aren't you? Actually, I was gonna give Finn a little request on Twitter. he may decline it, but just try. He's at FinnAFC. Thanks a lot, mate. And yeah, everyone, if you enjoyed that, drop the stream a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the future ones. We'll be back. I don't actually know what day, but we've got Palace. I should timestamp this. So this is January the 10th, 2024. So we've got Palace on the 20th. So in between them, we'll have a couple more of these Arsenal Archives episodes, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that was everything from us. Thanks a lot. Up the Arsenal. Cheers, Finn.
Cheers, mate.